how to win back your spouse. So how to win back your husband or wife when they want to leave the marriage. This is Coach Lee, and I'm going to give you 5 things that you can do to win back your spouse. A couple of these will seem obvious, but stick with me because what I explain about them will not be so obvious. The first thing is actions speak louder than words. You probably heard that expression before, but it's very true in this situation. And a lot of times when you're trying to get your spouse to stay or you're trying to get them to come back, you focus so much on words and you're going to just try to overwhelm them with words, give them so many that they just have to come back or that they feel like you really mean it. But the actual truth is that actions are what can help you in this situation, because most of the time the person who's leaving has a lot of doubt that you will keep up your word, that you will be true to your word. They have probably experienced something that they don't like, that's not fulfilling their needs or that's hurting them emotionally, and they oftentimes just think it's going to be that way forever. But if you can start showing them without drawing attention to it, so you wouldn't do something and then say, do you see I did that? That actually makes it come across as insincere and that you're just doing it to try to get them back, like it's manipulation. That makes them not trust it because they figure that if they do recommit and they do come back, then you have no motivation to keep doing those things and they're just going to be in the same boat they were in before. And especially if there's someone else, they think that if they give up that person and they go be with you again, then they might risk losing that person over something that won't be fulfilled going forward, over changes that won't last, and that they'll be in the same position they were in, except they would give up this person who they see as fulfilling all their needs and not running them down with the negatives. So focusing on actions without pointing it out to them or trying to get credit for it is going to be a powerful tool that you can use to win back your spouse. They might even accuse you of only doing these things because you want to win them back. And one of the things you can say to them is, well, I don't know what to do except the right thing. And so better late than never. I'm trying to do it now, and I've learned a lot from this experience. It's best to just keep it simple and stay focused on those actions. And of course, if words of affirmation or words of affection were something that your spouse was not getting, then that would be an action because you would actually be doing what they need to have their needs fulfilled. So that can be an action. Words can be an action in certain situations. Number 2, don't separate if at all possible. So as much as it's up to you, because your odds go down of getting back together if you separate. The numbers on it are not good. And part of that is because it's like taking them away from the source of stress, away from what they see they want to leave in the first place. And there can be little to no desire to do the work to go back because it feels like there's relief. If they think that there's someone else out there for them or they already have someone, then now they can see this person or they can go find this person. And it seems like that the whole world is just open to them. And so going back to you is a lot like putting the toothpaste back in the tube. It's difficult to do. It takes a lot more effort. And so you're putting them in a position to where it takes even more work because now they have to move back in. And this is really important, they know that this can lead you on. It can make you think that they are okay with everything, that they want to save the marriage now. And they may not want you to think that way because they are likely not certain. And what's more, it can make them afraid to come back to you from the separation because they may think that you would stop doing those things you were doing if you had improved. Maybe you started fulfilling some of their needs and they think, well, if I go back, they're going to think that they don't have to do this anymore. And so if at all possible, don't separate unless you are in danger or there's physical abuse. Otherwise, it's best to stay in the same household. You have more opportunity to show them your changes, to reattract them, and you put up fewer hurdles. So separation is something you should avoid if you want to save your marriage and you want to win your spouse back. Before I get to number 3, I want to offer to you my free mini course on saving a marriage. You can go to myexbackcoach.com and under the marriage tab, you will see the link for that. It's a free course on saving your marriage, and you can get access to that at my website. Number 3 is one of those I told you could sound basic, but you want to show them what it could be like. And this is a long-term plan. This is not something that can just fix everything overnight. It's not a sprint. This is a marathon. This is something that you're planting seeds in their mind with. You're going to show them what marriage could be like with you going forward, because in some ways, when someone realizes the other person wants to leave, they can become a much better spouse because they realize that their actions have consequences. They realize that this could be fragile. And so if you can show them, yes, that you have learned from this if you're in the wrong. And most of the time, it's shared responsibility for a marriage going downhill. And as I mentioned in the previous point, they might doubt it to begin with. Do it anyway. See it as a long-term effort. You want to give them as many reasons to doubt leaving you as possible. And so you are going to become the super spouse as much as you can at this time. And you want to show them what a marriage could be like with you going forward now that you have learned your lesson, so to speak. And yes, you might have to eat some humble pie for a while, even if you weren't completely in the wrong. And I understand that. But if it's worth saving your marriage, then these things can be discussed later on. Right now, you just want to make sure that they can recommit to this. And that's what you're trying to do by showing them how a marriage with you can be going forward. Number 4 is difficult because most of us think that the way that we save a relationship is by constantly discussing the issues and getting to some sort of conclusion. But usually that's not the case. Issues should be discussed, but that should be a rare thing. And the reason for that is, like I mentioned earlier, talk can seem cheap without action. And it can be very stressful. It can bring them down. It can bring you down. It can make you two in a constant argument. And the reason for that is that it can be stressful. It can have you basically where the two of you are in a constant argument, a constant state of going through old issues, bringing up bad memories. It should happen. But once it has, and most likely you have talked about these things, you need to be able to back away from it. It should become a rare thing because you want to create positive experiences with them, even if they're small, even if it's laughing at a movie, even if it's just sitting over a nicely cooked meal. One of my clients described going to counseling with her husband. They were separated, and she said, "We meet every Wednesday for counseling, and each time a new issue is brought up or they bring up an old one, and it's like a chaperoned fight." That's what she described it as. And one of the things I was able to help her do that resulted in her saving her marriage was I said, "Enough. Stop. You talked about the issues enough. You two need to actually have positive experiences together. Some light fun, some peace. And when you've been able to heal enough, then you can get into some of these issues one at a time, slowly. Because you can operate within a relationship. You can have a great relationship without bringing up issues. When changes have been made, there's no need for them to be brought up most of the time. And so if you can show them that you're doing the things you need to do, that you're doing what they need from you, you're being a good spouse, then even if you didn't resolve some of these past issues, it can actually create more desire from them to be in the marriage. And it can actually end up being something that never has to be discussed again, because if you do resolve it, if you do fix it, and you are doing better, then it doesn't have to be talked about again. But people tend to think that they can reach some resolution by having these difficult conversations constantly with their spouse, but you're really just creating these negative experiences that can make them want to be away from you, that can make them want to give up, that can frustrate them, that can repulse them and annoy them. But it's just creating these constant negatives, which is not attractive and will not make them want to be in a relationship. So the best thing you can do is actually stop talking about the issues and focus on positive experiences with them. Before I get to number 5, remember to get my free mini course on saving a marriage. You can do that at myexpatcoach.com, and it's underneath the marriage tab, and it's 100% free. Number 5, be a good parent. And hear me out on this. One of the most attractive things that you could do is to be good to someone else's child. And if your spouse and you have children together, or even if you've adopted them or they're from a previous marriage, if it matters to your spouse, when you are good to their children, they don't forget it. It means a lot, and it can be a very attractive thing that can help bring them back to commitment to the marriage. It also allows them to feel the experience of that family unit again. And so if you're having a meal as a family, or you're playing on the floor with the kids and they are watching, it's a great way for them to feel some of that and to see, again, like what I mentioned earlier, where they get to see what the marriage is like. They can also see what it's like for the family to stay intact. And they will actually have to face this idea that they think that they want of breaking up the family. And they see that and they think, do I really want to do this? They see a future with the family, but they realize that if they leave, they won't have that. And so it's not just that being good to their kids is a tremendous positive that you can do, but it also allows them to experience the family and to realize that that could be what they are giving up. And so these are simple things that you can do. But if you focus on these things, first of all, you're giving them a reason to stay, and you're also not giving them a reason to leave. And so it can actually have a compounding effect and be really powerful. Remember to get my free mini course on saving a marriage. Thank you for subscribing. This has been Coach Lee, and as always, thank you for watching.